30s, we have to have some advice to give. Let's get into all the juicy and dirty gossip. And the rest, well, we'll just figure it out along the way.
Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of Structured Chaos. I'm Kyra, and today we're getting into all of the thoughts that I have been carrying around all week. Welcome back. I hope that everyone had a great weekend. We have so much to talk about. First, if you guys are watching on YouTube or Spotify, you might notice that my hair is curly, and I did not curl it with a curling iron. I actually got a perm over the weekend. Yes, you heard that right. Perms are still a thing. They exist, and I did it. You know, I have been a hairstylist for 20 years almost now, which is also a crazy thing to say. I have just been feeling in a rut with my hair, and I'm like, what can I do? Like, I like it short, I like it dark, so what is there to do? I went through like a little bit of a health thing last year, so I lost a lot of hair. So I've just been feeling like about it. And I was like, you know what? Like, what if I just permed it? Like, that'll just give me more volume, you know? And anyone who knows me who does hair, like, does not want to do my hair because they know how particular I am. And so when I asked my friend, she was like, are you sure? And like, she does perms often. She not only is a hair school teacher, but she also does it behind the chair as well. And so if I was going to trust anyone to do it, like, how convenient that one of my best friends is so familiar with them. So I was like, I swear, like, it's like, if I don't like it, like, obviously, like, this is not your fault, you know? And oh my God, like, as it just kept drying yesterday, we were just like more and more obsessed with it. I love it. I don't really know how to style it yet. I can't really like do much with it right now. I can't get it wet. If anyone has seen Legally Blonde, then you know you cannot get your hair wet after getting a perm for 72 hours. So I'm going to also have fun learning how to be better with curly hair. And so that will transition, you know, into my day-to-day job, which I'm super excited for as well. So yes, this is my new look right now, and I just love it. Where we left off last week was Monday night was the college basketball national championship, UConn versus Michigan. Unfortunately, UConn lost. I don't even want to like really get into it. It's a week old at this point now, and like we're on to new things. So unfortunately they lost, but the NBA playoffs start this week, at the end of this week. And so Lakers play the Rockets for round one of the playoffs on Saturday. So looking forward to that. If you don't remember from last week, we do still have our two very key players on the injured list for the first round. So hopefully, you know, LeBron does his thing and everyone else steps up and we get the job done. And then, of course, if you guys are following the news, Coachella weekend 1 happened this weekend, also known as AKA Bieberchella. And, you know, here's the thing. I'm 38 years old. I don't have any business going to Coachella. It's, I think I've talked about it before on here. I'm just not like a huge concert person. I absolutely love music. It is such a big part of my life, but I don't need to be dirty. I don't need to be hot. I don't need to like pay a bunch of money to sit in like a mile away from a stage. Like, you know, it's not for me. I always say this, like, everything about it looks fun. Like, everything about it is everything I love, looks amazing. It's just more of like the waiting in long lines and like bathrooms and like that type of thing. Not really what I'm looking for. And it's like at this stage in my life, the amount that it would cost for me to go and enjoy myself and like not be irritated by things, like I could go on a African safari. So, you know what I mean? Like I just would rather put my money somewhere over there, like buy a new bag. But I will say that being said, this year's lineup really did seem so freaking cool. And one of my friends on the East Coast, she even like set her alarm to be able to live stream when Justin Bieber came on Saturday night. And I actually woke up and watched it on YouTube. Actually, while I was getting my hair done, we watched the entire set. And, you know, everyone's talking about it. There is mixed reviews on it. Some people are like, you know, a woman performer would be criticized to no end if she got up there and just like sat and like went through YouTube and like picked her highest played songs or whatever and just like kind of sat there. I don't know. I disagree. I think that when you are someone of his caliber, it is kind of just nice to not have like all of like the extra dancers and pyrotechnics and you know whatever. Like I think there's something powerful about just sitting there and like going through your catalog when again like when you've reached a certain level and like what a crazy trip down memory lane, you know. And I feel like I'm like a little too old to have gotten like directly on the Justin Bieber train. Like I've listened to him more in my adult years than I did when I was younger. I love his music now. I think it's really good. But yeah, I mean the girlies were having fun. It's also so crazy to see like the style change every year. I mean, I feel like a few years ago it was like you had to go all out where like right now it's like very like low key, almost like tomboy aesthetic, you know, and like not going over the top. It's like a lot of basics. So I do always just like love to see the fashion choices. And I don't know. Is weekend two better than or worse than weekend one or vice versa? I don't know. Is it the same people the same time or like is Biebs going to be there next weekend too or was he just a weekend one thing? I don't really know how that works. But it was like really fun to watch everything. And shout out to all of my friends that went. They had a great time. And I loved, you know, looking at all of their pictures, living vicariously through them. So let me know what you guys think. I don't know. I feel like someone like Mariah Carey could literally have gone up there and done what Justin Bieber did and no one would have said anything. But I think if you're like a new emerging artist, then like obviously, yeah, it's kind of a different standard. So I understand, like, I guess why people have something to say, but I don't know. I thought what he did honestly was really cool and powerful. And I loved at the end, you know, the fireworks and just kind of like calmly going out. And I don't know. I thought it was cool. It was cool to watch. Um, and then I hate to even like bring this up because I'm so tired of talking about them, but Amanda put out a statement over the weekend basically just saying like this has been really hard for her and she is sorry that people are upset, but she really does need to like find normalcy in her life again and so she is going to start posting again and if you know we could just be like nice to her in the comments because for her mental health, she just like needs to get back to normal life. A couple things. She didn't seem apologetic at all about like the actual like severity of like doing this behind your best friend's back and like technically your husband's back because you're still married. Also, I've never heard someone say like, oh, for my mental health, I need to come back on social media. Like, what? And then they were out together over the weekend and there was like videos of them doing like I don't know, like a bar crawl. So, I mean, I guess they're still fully together and riding this wave. And she said that she will be addressing all questions at the reunion, which we know films on Wednesday. So, ooh, again, I just cannot wait for that. But yeah, I mean, she wasn't giving heartfelt, I really messed this up with my best friend remorse. She was not giving that at all. She was basically like, yeah, we're together. Like, get over it, guys. I don't understand why everyone has a big problem with it, which I guess is how you get yourself in situations like that to begin with. But yes. Another story I really want to talk about, and I don't know if it like prior to this week, like was a big headline story or if it just happened. There is this teacher, this girl, her name is Haley Beck. I actually have to see how old she is because not that that is like super, super important, but I really am because what she did is still wrong at any degree. But okay. So if you guys have not heard about this story, her name is Haley Beck, and she is a teacher in Arizona, a high school teacher. And she got caught having an affair with a student. Now, when she first started talking with him, he was underage. He is no longer underage. He is 18, but they are calling it grooming. And so when she was grooming him, he was underage. Apparently, her brother is like a TikTok star or something. The point of my story is that the text messages have been released, the Snapchat conversations have been released between the two of them. And like, I'm not sitting here talking about this because I think like having an affair with a student is okay or acceptable or anything like that. This could not be like a more embarrassing situation. Like this kid that she was having an affair with didn't like her. He was so mean to her and so rude to her. Like he called her a fat whale. She's not overweight, also, just for the record. But even if she was, like, that's just like crazy that he was speaking to her like this. Like, so dismissive, so just like every single day I keep watching videos of people reading more of the text and the Snapchat conversations, and like even when he's like having a conversation with like his friends on Snapchat, like he is dogging her and basically is just like, are you gonna give me money, like I need money right now, or like she would bring him food and then she would like write him love letters and she would call him out for being mean too. Like she was like, you're just like so rude and so disrespectful to me sometimes. And he was like, yeah, okay, whatever. Like, are you coming or not? And like, I cannot get over these messages. Like, you guys have got to look them up because I'm like, not only is it gross and pathetic that you would even like go after a high schooler, but the fact that like he's somehow in control of all of this, but like yet you're like the desperado one. I mean, it's crazy, these messages. And again, like, not that him being a little bit older makes it okay, because it doesn't, but it's not like she was like taking advantage of a 12-year-old, which is like, I would not even be discussing something like this in this capacity. I just like, I'm just stunned because I'm like, oh my God, you weird woman. Like, what made you do this? Or like, he, like literally body shaming her multiple occasions and then like telling his friends how he thinks that she's so ugly, but he like does these like sexual things with her that are like kind of cool. I mean, and like she's like writing him this like farewell letter that he's going off to college. And she's like, I know that our time together was just something that can't even be described. And it's so magical and so special. And like, I'm gonna miss you when you're off at school. I think he might be studying abroad or something. And she was just like, I'll never forget the times in I think at one point she said, in my parents' closet at their house. And then like sitting in the car. Like, it's just so embarrassing at every level. Again, I am not here to just highlight, teachers having affairs with students by any means, but this one in particular, you're just like, what a loser. Like, what a loser you are. So that like honestly goes into kind of like what I wanted to talk about this week of just like relationships. When I tell you that this past week has been full of relationship-esque conversations with a bunch of people in all different like variations of types of relationships, it like really just got me thinking about how I feel like every conversation that I had about a relationship this week was completely different and honestly like concerning, that we're at where we're at in society. Some people are in relationships and not happy. Some people don't even want to get into a relationship because of online dating or things like that. Some people are having full-blown affairs. Like it like really like just made me sit back and think like there is no real understanding of relationships anymore, and obviously it's not like a one size fits all type of thing. I just feel like, and I of course like not everything is gonna be the same across the board, but I do feel like there needs to be like some type of central standards. And of course, I have a profession where I talk to a bunch of people, and it was just very, very interesting this week. And so I just wanted to get into like three different types of relationships, which was like around conversations that I have. So, we have the people who are unhappy in relationships. And so I was talking with someone this week, and it had actually started last weekend, like our conversation. And I thought to myself, like, like some of the things are a little weird that they're saying, but I'm going to see them soon. So, like, we can get into like a more detailed conversation about everything. And so, this person is like describing their relationship. And I'm looking at them and I'm like, like that's not normal, right? And like the way, like the things that you're telling me are not typical things for a relationship. And she was like, no, they are. No, like I've like a lot of relationships that I've been in have been like this, which then of course like goes to show like we do have patterns as people. And I am not sitting here as a perfect woman in the dating world at all. I very, very, very much have made poor decisions when choosing someone or staying with someone too long or giving someone my attention. I will say I'm always like keenly aware that I'm making a poor decision, but I'm not sitting here being like, I've only dated the best guys ever. So like I can tell you that I'm right and you're wrong. Like, no. I just happen to talk to people all day long. So I have a very large database that I, can go off of. And so I said to her, and this is like kind of like a newer relationship, which is even a little bit more concerning of the things that she was saying that were going on, because I'm like, you should technically like be in the honeymoon stage, but whatever, everyone, we all move differently in life. But I had said to her, I said, you know what? I said, if you feel that this relationship is important enough and like you feel like this is the one, we're putting all of our eggs in this basket, then like regardless of how long or not long you guys have been together, if you feel that perhaps going to couples therapy could change some of these behaviors, then I am like a full supporter of that. And I am not a therapist, so I don't know if there is like a specific timeline you should follow. Like if you're in couples therapy within the first year, like is that a red flag? Like I don't know, because sometimes it really, I feel like could be just like very helpful, because I do feel that like if communication is something that the two of you struggle with, I do feel like it is super effective to have a third person to navigate the conversation and kind of like, okay, well this is what they said, and like listen, and like obviously they're a professional so they can prompt the right questions and hopefully, get to some better communication habits. So I 100% believe in therapy. I don't know if, again, like, I don't know if that's like a big red flag if you're in therapy so quickly, but sometimes people just need it. Sometimes they're just not strong in communication and stuck in their ways. So I do look forward to the update, but I then started thinking further into it because it's not like this is the first person to tell me, things about their relationship that don't really sound healthy and productive and great to me. Um, so then it just got me thinking, of course, like people who are in these unhappy relationships and unhappy marriages. And like, I think obviously the big one is that people stay out of comfort. It's what they're used to. And I had someone tell me like so long ago, I can't even remember, like over 10 years ago, that their mom had told them, like, well, you either go through this with this person or you go through the same thing with the next person. And she had said it as if like it was like giving good advice. But to me, I was like, I don't think that that's good advice. Like, I feel like every relationship you're in, obviously, like, there are going to be different things that are challenging. But I don't think it's like, oh, well, you pick the struggle with this one or you pick the struggle with that one. Like, I do feel that, like, I think there's levels to struggles. So I think that we start there. But I just feel like a lot of the times, like, people stay for comfort because they're like, well, it's not perfect here, but it's not gonna be perfect with the next person. Which, like, yeah, theoretically, sure, like, of course it's not gonna just be perfect, but like, I don't know. I think, and again, yes, I have stayed in situationships too long. And like when I was younger, of course, stayed in a relationship too long. But at this age, like, it's not something I would do. I just know so much, like, so strongly, like, what I want in my life and what I want from a partner and what I bring to the table for myself in my daily life. So like, I don't believe in staying anywhere for comfort, even if there are children involved. Again, I sit with women all day long. Never has a woman said that she regretted breaking up, leaving the person, or like leaving her marriage, even though she was like deathly scared because obviously like there's kids and everything involved. I have never met a woman who regretted it. So I just like always encourage someone when I like, and again, I preface it like it's not my life, like, do whatever you want. I'm going to fully support you, but I am going to be real with you and tell you like that doesn't sound healthy. That doesn't sound great. And like, no, not every relationship is this way and it doesn't have to be this way. So like, I get it. Like, you're in this flow right now and used to certain things, but like, if we're talking long term and like your whole life, like, better you than me because I couldn't do it. I could not stay out of comfort. I do think that another part of it is people's fear of being alone. And, you know, when you're, especially if you've been in a long term relationship, that just normalcy, you've lived your life with a person, and like, how do you even begin to learn how to do it alone? And like, are you going to be sad? Like, I remember when me and my ex had broken up, it's almost been 6 years at this point. I didn't sleep in my bed for a month. I was so sad. I like, it's not like I live in like a sprawling estate by any means. I mean, it's probably a good 10 steps to my bedroom from my living room, and I just couldn't do it. So, and it was just like the mental of like, this is the bed that I shared with this person for so long. And, all of the things that we attach ourselves to in our mind and like build up this fear of, oh my gosh, am I ever going to find happiness and routine again just by myself? And so I do think that instinctively that is what keeps people in relationships, or like the fear of like, oh, well, I'm this old now and like no one's ever going to want me, so I'll just stay with this person because what else am I going to do? it's either be with this person or be alone for the rest of my life, which like I would still choose alone because like you're in charge of your own happiness. But I get why it handicaps people so much, you know? And which goes into like it's easier to stay than leave. This is the life that you know. This is the sadness or the confusion or the frustration that you know. So at least you're mentally prepared for it versus like shocking your nervous system and being in the unknown. You know, I think that I see it all the time. I listen to it all the time. And, you know, it's just, you always just wonder, why do you stay even when you know that it's not right? You know, it's like if you wake up every single day feeling something, but it's like just this bigger power that just like holds you somewhere. And like, it's, I, I feel like I'm going to contradict myself because it's like I'm going to sit here and say like I am very okay being alone and very okay leaving a situation 100%. I think speaking from personal experience, the reasons why I've not been able to leave two specific situations is because I felt bad for the people that were, you know, the two people that were involved in these two specific scenarios. So it wasn't about I'm afraid to be by myself. It actually had nothing to do with me. I felt bad for the other person. And that's always like my hang up in life is, you know, I just don't want to ever make anyone else's life harder, or if I feel like that they're going through a troubling time, like the last thing that I want to be doing is adding to that or creating sadness for the person. So that's why I have personally stayed in situations too long, but it wasn't because I thought that this was the best that I could have. It wasn't because I, you know, was afraid to be by myself. It wasn't because I didn't know that I shouldn't be in the situation. Mine definitely had to do with I'm just a fixer and I just am like, they'll come around, like it'll get better. Um so I can only speak from my experiences that that's what they were for me. Also, I'm really sorry if like the audio might sound weird. I'm not sure yet. It just like started downpouring outside. I can't really hear, but I guess we'll see once I edit this. But then okay, so we have like our unhappy relationship. Why do people stay? Like that was like one of the stories that came to me this week. Then we have, you know, the other type of dilemma in the dating world of people who are afraid to date, you know? And so I listened to someone like tell me this story and I kept looking at them and I was like, I just like, why do you look at it that way? Why does it have to be that? Like, guys, as someone who has online dated for years, I am not coming to you saying like, oh my God, it was the best thing ever. I always had the most incredible experiences, met the most incredible guys. Like, no, that's not what it was. And it was, you know, sometimes really exhausting because someone, you think that you've like clicked with someone and then you meet them and like it's just not that. And which reminds me, like, one of the things that this person had said to me was like, I don't want to do the online dating thing. It's like, you know, I feel like it's just like people are performative and people aren't authentic and they like, you know, they're sizing you up. And I said, but what's the difference between sizing someone up in person and sizing someone up online? I mean, the reality of it is that online dating is a thing. It is what people find convenient. It is just kind of like the way that the world has shaped over the last, you know, 10 or so years, like more effectively and, you know, bigger. It's no longer like embarrassing to say like, oh, you know, we met dating online. Like the stereotypes have changed. It's just, this is the way of life. And I'm not saying that it would be my favorite thing to do over and over again, but it is what it is. So why not make the best of it, you know? And I get it. There are past experiences that hinder, you know, our positive outlook and trust issues. And, you know, when, especially like for someone like me, like I hear people's stories all day long. And then like, if you're like the single friend and you're seeing like like, all of these relationships fail, or not fail, but like, not fail in the sense that people are breaking up, but fail in the sense that people are unhappy. Like, I get it, like you're like, well, why would I go and get myself into a relationship when 6 out of 10 people tell me how unhappy they are in a relationship, which, like, again, is true, but goes back to the first conversation of, yeah, there are a lot of unhappy people in relationships because they don't do anything about it. And I just have always looked so positively at dating. I actually saw this thing, and it made me really think. And it said, why can't we change the perception of dating? And instead of looking at it as a chore, why don't we start romanticizing it? And why don't we start looking at it like, I'm so lucky to have the opportunity to get dressed up, to go out, to meet a stranger, and best case scenario, this is going to be my person for the rest of my life. This is the person, like, that just gets me. You know what I mean? Like, if you look at it that way, which I think, like, subconsciously I do look at it that way, which is why I have always dated. Again, not necessarily because it was always successful, but I'm always down for a date because I do think about it that way. I really have always been a person that's like, okay, well, worst case scenario, I went out to dinner and talked to this person. Best case scenario, I see them again and again and again, and we build this relationship with one another, Like, and I don't know if it, like, helps because of the career that I'm in, that I'm like, okay talking with people all day long. I don't find it to be exhausting. I actually look forward to it. But yeah, I just feel like dating is like, it can be so fun because it, like, you just keep getting opportunities. And again, like, I know that that can be very defeating when you want to be in a relationship, but like, for myself, I've always looked at it as like, the more that I dated, the more I understood actually what meant the most to me. Like, and I'm being incredibly superficial when I say this, and this isn't like real, but like, in the beginning, it's like, well, this part's real. Like, if a guy couldn't dress, I'd be like, forget it. And like, now it's like, I don't care if they can dress or not. I can dress. I'll dress them. Like, I'll help them out. You know what I mean? But it's like, how does a person make you feel? And I feel like if I hadn't dated so much and like been single and learned myself along the way as well, I I think I would still be back as the girl who is only looking for superficial things, or like, but it's like, for me now, like, I want someone who truly listens to me. And again, I think that when we want to be with someone, sometimes we miss certain red flags in front of our face because we're like chasing a feeling or chasing an outcome. So whenever someone is single and they're talking about like how they just do not want to date, I always, always, always try to snap them out of it, flip a switch, change their perspective on something, because I really do think that dating is fun, and I really do think that dating is special. And I think that, again, it's like going to a job on the first day. Like, you might think you're so qualified for the job, and you very well could be, but you don't understand how the people that you work with, operate, or certain things like that. So who you are day one at your job versus who you are a year in at your job are two very different people with different with different outlooks, And so that's how I feel about dating. It's like, the more you date, the more you understand kind of even what questions to prompt a person. Like, you want to sit there and say like, oh, I think that it's performative and everyone's trying to, like, size you up. Like, sure, but you're doing that in real life too. And the more you have experience in this, then the quicker you can spot it, and the quicker this isn't for me. Like, I remember I had dated this guy and I stayed in it a couple months too long, just because I was liking other perks that came with it. And I just remember like my nervous system like always like being heightened, and I'm like, I know that this is not the feeling that I want. I know that I am intelligent. I know that I can carry a conversation. I know that I know how to decipher right from wrong. And like, I should not feel this way, And like, that's a big thing for me. So it's like, I've very much always said, like, the person who can make me feel really calm all the time, because I am a calm person, like the person who, like, just makes me feel heard and seen and understood is like a very high on my list expectation. But I think that I didn't know that in the beginning of dating. So that's why it took years and years of me dating different types of people to really find what works for me. And so I think that sometimes because we hear other people's stories so often about how unhappy they are or how hard it is to date, I think that naturally people have like started to overly protect themselves and build it up that it has to just be negative, like it's most likely going to be negative, and so they don't put themselves out there in fear. And I think that that's also a challenge. The world of dating is it's just hard. And then another type of relationship is the unhappy, clearly, well, actually, I don't know. I can't speak for everyone who cheats if they're unhappy. They could just like different things, but I heard a crazy story this week. And so, um, you know, someone at one of the chats went off this week, and I was like, oh my God, like first of all, I live for gossip, but like I don't work in an office. So like, and like, truthfully, every salon that I've worked in, like we've all been family, we've all got along great. And so there's not really like any drama. So like, and I like office drama, like give it to me. So one of the chats is going off about how these two people at work are clearly having an affair, and they left work to go to a brewery during the day, like midday, and then just like stopped answering phone calls and emails and text messages from their superior and from their like team members, I guess team members. I don't really know how that works. I just made that up. Asking, like if they're okay, because all of their stuff was still at work. And instead they went to a brewery and got drunk. Now you might be thinking like, okay, they're just like two coworkers that, went to lunch. No, one is married and one is in a serious relationship where she lives with, or he or she lives with a partner. I'm not sure which one was married actually. And then it just like got me thinking, like, first of all, like fools, like if you're gonna have an office affair, the goal is for like literally no one to know that you're having an affair, because it's not something that's typically celebrated. But on top of that, like, you got me all the way fucked up. If you ever think I'm putting myself in a situation where not only am I going to fuck up my money, but I'm going to fuck up my relationship too. So when you get like fired from your job for getting drunk on work hours while having an affair, how do you go home and tell your spouse, like, oh, I just got let go today? And they're going to be like, oh, for what? Like everything was going well. And you're going to have to be like, oh, for having an affair, or like make up some story. Either way, it's not going to work out. You're either going to make up a lie, so now you're lying, or you're going to tell them the truth. And I don't think you'll stay together, but maybe, I don't know. But then I found out like one of the people in this scenario was on a work performance plan. So like you really are an idiot. Like you're already under a microscope right now, and you thought, they're not going to really care if I left for the day and went and got drunk on work hours. And this is like what we were all like guessing, and like saying like, what were they thinking? A little bit. We only just have like a little bit of a follow-up so far, but the person did say like, oh, I just like didn't think it was a big deal. If your managers are like calling you, because at one point they thought like something had gone wrong, because again, these people left all of their things and just like went and got drunk. And like, I don't know, I guess obviously because I have to like physically work with people, like I can't just like go get drunk in the middle of the day and come back and do a client. You know what I mean? Like I just can't really get the thought process of like, this is the best time to make this decision. You know what I mean? And it's just like, what are we doing it at work? I mean, the boundaries become very blurred very quickly. And then it kind of ties back into what I was saying last week about how we always know when we're making a bad decision. It's just whether we choose to justify it or not, or how we choose to justify it, I guess you should say. And it's just like, people are moving too quickly through life. People are moving too quickly, not thinking about the outcomes of the decisions that they're making. And I'm not saying that, again, like, I am in no world trying to portray that every relationship is perfect, but I do think there are levels. And I think that if you're willing to have an office affair, you should have a conversation with your partner about maybe like what's not being fulfilled for you, or what, like, you're not, I don't even know, but I just don't think we do that. And I mean, you hear about office affairs all the time, of course, and that this is like, the people spend so much time together, there's feelings involved and all of that. And it's just like the way in which I would never do anything to jeopardize my money. Like, you could go date whoever you want, wherever you want, whenever you want. Like, in this economy, you're going to risk it all? No, sir. No, sir. No, ma'am. Like, never going to be me. And again, like, it just got me thinking about 3 different examples: unhappy, afraid to date, and cheating within a relationship. And I just feel like we are all operating very differently, and we're all operating with our own set of rules. And I feel like, is this why nothing feels stable? Like, for the single person to be so afraid to date, is this why? Because we hear all of these stories? Sure. Is the person who's in an unhappy relationship hearing other people's bad stories, and so it makes them afraid to leave and think like, oh, well, this is just normal. And then we have the people who are in relationships, straight up having affairs, and it seems like they still are unhappy. Like, I just need us all to kind of come back together, kind of like just be on the same page. Like, let's just all be trustworthy. Let's all communicate our feelings. Let's all allow space for others to come to us with their feelings. And I just, again, there are 2 parts of me, because I do understand why so many people are single, including myself, for waiting so long, because I know what I wanted to feel like, because I see all of these bad scenarios. But I still am just such a believer in love, and I feel the older you are being single, the more healthy the relationship is that you get yourself into, because you've, again, like, gone through all of these different stages and have kind of like realized like what works, what doesn't work. And I do feel overall that a lot of relationships are worse off now. I think, of course, like, the internet and people's awareness, or way of thinking is like, oh, well, if this doesn't work out, there's someone tomorrow, which could either be a good way to look at things or a bad way. So for me, I would always look at it as like, whatever, if it goes bad, it's not like they're the last single person out here. But I also think that men and women look at it very differently, in terms of like, oh, okay, well, like, oh, you have one wrong thing, like, you have one thing that I don't like about you, like, on to the next. So I think that there are just like various expectations that are both good and bad. But if you're listening to this and you're any of those 3, I would really love to hear from you. I feel like I am someone who's quite great at giving advice. So I am here for you. If you feel like you don't have anyone that will listen to you, or anyone that you feel comfortable enough with, like, you can always slide in the DMs, or if you have my number, you can text me. But it really did just get me. Like, I couldn't believe how many different types of relationship stories I heard this week. And like, I mean, I'm hopeful. I'm a lover of love, but I think that we just need to start shifting these conversations and holding people accountable in the ways that they deserve to be, and then lift them up and encourage them when they might be afraid to you know stay in something instead of getting out of something. And so I don't know, like, again, like, I don't know if it's necessarily that the internet has caused us to just be more aware of how messy relationships are, or are they genuinely just more messy now? So something to think about. I would like love to hear people's thoughts. But yeah, it really just, like I said, especially given last week's episode with the cheating scandal. I guess I don't know if it's a cheating scandal because no one was really like boyfriend girlfriend, but you know, like the betrayal, the boundaries, or the lack of yeah, I mean, I just want everyone to be happy and be in love. I want everyone to be in healthy relationships. I want everyone to have hard conversations. I want everyone to feel heard. I want everyone to feel loved. And I will forever be the girl championing everyone, both men and women. Not like so much the men, but like sometimes they can get my sympathy and encouragement. Thank you guys for listening this week. It was so much fun. I feel like I had so much to talk about. Make sure you're following me on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. All of the info can be found in the description below. Make sure that you're subscribed. Please leave a comment. Tell a friend to tell a friend. I'm Kyra, and this is your reminder that having it mostly together still counts. See you next week. Bye.